Welcome to Tzu Chi This Week. I'm Maggie Tsai. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi Canada Chapter inaugurates a traditional Chinese medicine clinic in collaboration with a local college. A Malaysian boy with leukemia survived 6 months of chemotherapy and is now able to attend school. Shenyang Tzu Chi volunteers provide care for the family of a single mother with terminal stage cancer. A new milestone has been reached with Tzu Chi's overseas medical mission. After 5-year preparation and construction, Tzu Chi Canada Chapter collaborated with the Humber College in Toronto to establish the Tzu Chi Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine. The inauguration ceremony celebrated this groundbreaking institute in Canada. Not only is it a teaching facility, but it also serves as a fully functioning community clinic that will serve the greater Toronto area.
It's not important the number of needles or where the needles need to be administered. It's how can I make them feel at ease, giving me their full trust with their body, mind, and soul.
Tzu Chi took root in Canada 26 years ago and made a connection with both the indigenous tribes and mainstream society by way of traditional Chinese medicine services. The Tzu Chi Canada Chapter collaborated with Humber College to establish the Tzu Chi Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine.
Working with the Tzu Chi Foundation, we will also provide the community with access to regulated, high-quality traditional Chinese medicine therapies and elevate the standards of practice in the field.
This clinic will be a clinic of love, where students will learn, will experience, and from lots doctors.
Covering an area of 4,204 square meters, it is attached to the Humber College campus. It includes exam rooms, a pharmacy, both clinical teaching and observation rooms, the complete package.
Sometimes when administering the acupuncture needles, it's quite low, so we need to bend down. It's actually not a good posture for the practitioner. So this chair here, which has a high altering mechanism and is on wheels, so it's very convenient. I think these attentions to details really make a huge difference.
All the designs are very considerate. Plus, coming in here, it's really clean and has such a comfortable atmosphere.
It is not only a teaching center for the medical students, but it's an actual clinic that is open to the general public, serving as a community clinic for the greater Toronto area. This is one of Tzu Chi's new overseas medical clinics. It's also a giant step forward for traditional Chinese medicine. This is a start to a solid foundation of both holistic and humanistic medical services.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Northern California prepared dinner at the Salvation Army Center of Hope Emergency Shelter. One individual they encountered was in prison in 1996 and was recently released and felt abandoned by many. Now he is in charge of the security at the shelter. Tzu Chi volunteers helped him overcome this low period in his life and show him some compassion and care.
In order to deliver the meal on time, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at the kitchen early, along with Tzu Shaos, to prepare a hot meal at the Salvation Army Center of Hope Emergency Shelter. For many Tzu Shaos, it was their first time in the kitchen, as they cautiously chopped all the vegetables. Volunteers worked hand in hand, with everyone being quite busy.
You guys coming out today, it was fantastic. The way you guys prepped everything, guys were moving back and forth. I see a lot of great execution in between everybody. Good communication, good teamwork, good putting stuff in the food, and with a good preparation at the beginning of service, it was awesome.
The residents of the shelter are people who are homeless or unemployed. One such individual, Bobby Thomas, is in charge of security. He first encountered Tzu Chi volunteers at the rehabilitation center 2 years ago and immediately recognized these familiar faces.
The biggest impact you guys had was showing up there to feed parolees that people look down on and inspiring us to do better and encouraging us to do better. Told myself I'm going to try to live right and be the best man I can and a productive citizen by living right and not breaking the law and getting in trouble. Those days are over.
The kitchen is busy preparing hot dishes as a total of 6 hours were spent on this meal, which included fried noodles, fried rice, spring rolls, and wontons. This made for a delicious Chinese meal with special meaning for residents of the shelter.
The national healthcare system pays for teeth cleaning every 6 months. For the critically ill and bedridden patients, it's not easy to go. Tima and the Genesis Social Welfare Foundation's Keelung branch collaborated together to help clean the teeth for the long-term residents. Let's see.
These volunteers are not here to repair the water and electricity. So what exactly are the complicated equipment and wiring from the corridor to the exam rooms used for? It's necessary to periodically clean the teeth of bedridden patients, especially if they have a nasogastric tube in place. However, it's no easy task. The nurses sing and comfort each patient while the dentists are efficiently precise.
This is our best dentist. We especially invited him here to clean your teeth for you.
The plaque dries easily. A whole layer of it can be stuck on the surface of the teeth. Whether you are using a cotton swab or a toothbrush, it's really not that easy to clean, so many people will have a negative impression of these patients due to the smell that is emitting from their mouth. The actual feeling and appearance isn't comfortable either. However, after a thorough teeth cleaning session, it really gives them a giant's relief.
The medical team and the volunteers worked hard together. Some even knelt down on the hospital beds, with an average of 4 to 5 staff serving each patient.
You can see that almost all the doctors, nurses, and dental assistants are all crouching on the hospital beds. They are all using very weird postures, just trying their best to help clean the teeth of these patients from every angle possible.
Because the smell is indeed quite foul. Sometimes when people see them or get a quick whiff in the air, they would retreat automatically. That's why it's so important for us to do these services for them, so that they can have some type of dignity back.
More than 50 patients' teeth were cleaned. The medical staff served with a joyful heart.
Gong Mingshan, who lives in Kuala Lumpur, has suffered from leukemia since the age of 6. He underwent half a year of chemotherapy. His mother and him have joined the Tzu Chi Cancer Patients Association, and volunteers were always there for them during the difficult time. Now that he is 8 years old, he's in good health and goes to school like other children.
I wonder why I can't go to school like other kids.
Gan Mingxuan was quite ill when he was 6 years old. He had many fevers, one after another, and upon further exam, was found to have leukemia.
My son's cancer cells were already at 94%. The doctor said that he would just try our best. When I heard this news, I have felt that he had some hope, and I also felt that there was no hope.
The chemotherapy was painful for him, and his mother was equally uncomfortable. It took all of their strength just to persist.
Once when I was helping him with his wounds, I didn't know what to do and began crying. When he saw me crying, he told me, "Don't cry. I'm just sick, and I will be fine because I want to go to school."
When life felt helpless, the Tzu Chi Cancer Patients Association provided the company of volunteers to help this mother find direction.
When I saw them, I couldn't say anything. I just kept crying and crying. I kept asking them, why did we have this problem? That taught me how to deal with my feelings and tell me more about living with cancer.
After completing the treatment, Gang Mingxuan now pays more attention to his health and that of the family and begins to eat more vegetables. Once on the brink of life and death, he has made a miraculous recovery. He's now able to fulfill his dream of going to school every day, which he truly cherishes.
International studies have found that intestinal bacteria also have a physiological clock. 1 out of every 4 to 5 people have gastroesophageal reflux disease, or short for GERD. Not only is this an everyday issue, but the prevalence rate is rising at a steady pace. It can even lead to cancer lesions if the patient does not make change in their daily life routine. Let's hear a doctor's opinion.
Baseball star Chen Jingfeng has a long-term irregular schedule, which resulted in him getting gastroesophageal reflux disease.
My stomach would feel uncomfortable. It would be worse if I was under pressure, like during an intense game.
是咖啡甜食让你胃食道逆流吗？
现在食道胸口灼热，好难受。
The lines from the commercial are also familiar to everyone on the streets, but why exactly do these foods cause acid reflux?
It's the sphincter between the stomach and the esophagus that becomes loose. When this happens, it causes food particles or gases in the stomach to travel backwards. This is why the patient shows symptoms of discomfort.
International studies have found that the intestines also have a physiological clock. The familiar rhythm can suddenly change, making the intestinal bacteria metabolically disturbed. Pulling an all-nighter greatly contributes to an increasing number of people getting this disorder.
For the past 10 to 20 years, the diagnosis of GERD keeps on rising. The current statistic is about 1 out of every 4 or 5 people live with this disorder.
At times, it feels like there is something that is blocking right in the middle of my chest area. If it's serious, it feels like the stomach acid is already at the back of my throat.
Mr. Lee does not stay up late, nor does he eat spicy foods. However, he does always eat too much in one sitting.
I have a bad habit of eating until I'm completely full, stuffed even. I really do eat too much.
It's quite easy nowadays to develop symptoms of acid reflux. That's why the general recommendation is still eat till you're about 80% full. When reflux happens, it means that the stomach acid is constantly flowing from our stomach to our esophagus. This will cause mucosal damage, resulting in widespread inflammation. In severe cases, it will turn into ulcers.
The most typical symptoms of GERD are burning of the chest, also known as heartburn, and atypical symptoms like chronic cough, chest pain, and acidic throat. When there are repeated episodes, it can cause mucosal injuries, formation of Barrett's esophagus, precancerous lesions, narrowing of the esophagus, and difficulties in swallowing. Chronic acid reflux issues are difficult to cure by medications alone. It must be dealt with on multiple levels. The person needs to be determined to completely change their diet for the better, or else it will just keep on repeating itself.
A Tzu Chi Care recipient, Shi Zeming, who lives in Harbin in China, has polio. He is 60 years old now, and he is unable to do heavy works due to heart problems. Tzu Chi volunteers often deliver aid supplies to him. With gratitude, Shi Zeming has joined another Tzu Chi volunteer in doing recycling. People who give of themselves live a meaningful life.
我就说吧，这么说吧，人类应该有一个理念，是什么理念呢？为什么而去活呢？是不是？你去看看，那个还有个老师傅也在那个环保站，那老师傅今年70多了，你看他也在跟我们在一起做环保。1、2、3，12个，你真棒！
Tzu Chi volunteers often visit him, and they always encourage him to volunteer together. Shi Zeming is a 60-year-old solitary senior who has polio. His physical disadvantage did not stop him from doing recycling.
At the end of 2015, I connected with Tzu Chi when they delivered rice, noodle, and oil to me. In the beginning, I didn't feel anything special. Later on, when I started to work at the recycling station, I felt much happier and fulfilling. In the past, I used to collect cardboards and sell it to other recycling stations. Ever since I came to Tzu Chi's recycling station, I delivered them directly to Tzu Chi instead of selling them, even though it's not much, but it's my way of doing charity work.
Zhang Hongbin, who volunteered with him, has also not allowed his physical challenges to stop him from doing recycling.
When I was young, I liked to play around for almost 20 years. A volunteer, Ma Li-ying, told me that I should do something that is beneficial to my life. So I've stopped playing for 2 years. I thought we should all be humble and learn to be a better person.
We're underprivileged, and we've received help from other people. I've been receiving many supplies from Tzu Chi, and it's more than enough for me. I'm very grateful.
After coming to the recycling station, the two people now enjoy coming here to volunteer when it's time to recycle. At the recycling station, they have found new meanings in their lives. A Tzu Chi Care recipient in Shenyang, Liu Shufen, is a single mother who was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Her father took on the responsibility to care for her and her son. Since May of this year, Tzu Chi volunteers started to provide assistance for this family, as well as helping Miss Liu to visit her mother, whom she hasn't seen for half a year.
After Liu Shufen was diagnosed with terminal cancer, her family suffers from heavy financial burden. Today, volunteers have come to provide assistance and care.
Her husband passed away 2 years ago, leaving her with a lot of debts. She has a son who is 15 years old this year. Her father is now living with her temporarily in Shenyang to take care of her and her son. To share her family expenses, her father, who is nearly 70 years old, has a part-time job as a sanitation worker.
During the consecutive holidays, Miss Liu, who hadn't seen her mother for half a year, was finally able to visit her mother, thanks to the company of volunteers. Miss Liu's mother cannot hold back her tears when seeing her daughter return home. Miss Liu and her mother talk happily to each other.
I've lost my confidence. It is the volunteer who helps build up my confidence. Her encouragement allows me to survive the worst moments of my life.
By accompanying her, I can also learn something. It was not until I saw her suffering that I learned to cherish my blessings. Since I have a healthy body, I should give back to society to help more people in need.
Volunteers seize the chance to help organize and clean their home, providing them with love and warmth.
In an old district of Xiamen, Fujian province, 90% of the houses there were over 30 years old and have never been repaired. Local neighborhood officials were concerned about the health of solitary seniors as they asked Tzu Chi volunteers to help renovate their houses. Let's see how volunteers spent 3 days renovating the home of 93-year-old Grandma Tzu Chi. Houses in the old district are packed tightly together and the alleys are narrow. 93-year-old Grandma Tzu Chi lives in a tiny room alone, and the dust from the mounted walls has been impacting her health since the beginning of this year. A member from the neighborhood committee connected the grandma with Xiamen Tzu Chi volunteers, and a special relationship has thus begun.
We estimated that it would take 3 days to renovate her house. We hope the simple renovation can provide her a new, clean living environment.
painted the wall with white water-resistant paint so that the room will look brighter and it will bring her a pleasant mood. We regarded her as our own grandmother, and we don't mind making our clothes dirty. If we weren't for the assistants, I wouldn't be able to do it myself. This is the power of great love. All these years, I've only been able to provide her basic living supports, and I'm deeply grateful that you helped with the renovation.
I enjoyed reading this magazine whenever I'm free. I felt refreshed whenever I read about Dharma Master Zheng Yan. I like to see her in the magazine.
Within 3 days, volunteers have developed a loving friendship with Grandma Choju, bringing her warmth like a member of a big family. Since May of this year, Shenyang Tzu Chi volunteers go to their restaurants each day to collect recyclable goods. Through their collaboration with Tzu Chi, many restaurant owners remarked that this practice allowed their employees to learn about the importance of environmental protection.
Moving different sizes of recyclables from the restaurant's kitchen, Shenyang Tzu Chi volunteers collaborated with local restaurants to practice recycling efforts.
I come here every day to collect recyclables. I feel very happy and I enjoy doing it.
Before, we did not do any recycling. We threw away all the items directly as garbage. Now all the employees know how to sort different recyclable goods. They have learned how to separate glass bottles and plastic bottles. This is a big change for our staff members.
Since May of this year, Shenyang Tzu Chi volunteers have been promoting environmental protection concepts to local residents. Over the past 4 months, 29 restaurants have joined the recycling movement.
We all live on planet Earth. If we can practice recycling more often, it will benefit everyone.
Now we sort all the waste in our restaurant. For example, we separate the items into different categories, such as bottles, cupboard, and with kitchen waste. I think this is a very valuable lesson for our employees.
Volunteers also use holidays to sort all kinds of items collected from different restaurants, whether it is the staircase of a building or the open space of a community. The volunteers are always there doing recycling.
Sometimes I feel depressed just sitting at home. I always feel very happy when I come out to do recycling. By doing it, I can relax my body. I do not feel any discomfort at all.
I have been greatly influenced. Now, I do not waste items at home. I usually reuse the recycled resources to expand their usage. I think this is a good change.
With the volunteers' encouragement, accompanied by the residents' participation, many people believe that environmental protection will be thoroughly practiced throughout Xiamen.
Tzu Chi New Zealand chapter hosted a 3-day camp for Tzu Shouts, and the theme of this year is gratitude, respect, and love. Tzu Shout have visited the nursing home and appreciated their parents at the closing ceremony. We'll leave you with these images, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.